So today's presentation is going to be on Macedonian War. The rules for today or any day is this is not academic presentation, and today is going to be very light. We're mostly in discussion mode today, so I'm going to have help from everybody. Basically, if you have any questions or want to ask anything, and you know, we had so many presentations this week, so I'm really light today. But if any questions I can't answer, you can follow up with me through Meetup, and then I can answer those questions later. It's a secular presentation. Obviously, we're talking about ancient Rome and Greece. A lot of those religions are not, applicable at this point. Be respectful. Interactivity, any questions, comments, clarifications. It's kind of interactive type of thing. And again, not everybody on the same level. I'm an organizer, but sometimes I fill in for the presenter. Yesterday, we had an amazing presentation regarding the Islam 101. It's really amazing presentation by Nurul and his buddy Abdil. There was 80 people on, and they all stayed on. So, basically, that's how it works. It's 101 and 201, where you can ask me questions, and there's going to be recording, and you can watch it later. So today's presentation, we're going to be talking about Macedonian wars. So today, I'm not going to talk about Macedonian War. I'm going to touch on the whole Greek, so to speak, Greek East. But I want to talk about particularly Macedonian War. In this instance, in this slide, there was 4 wars. The one I'm going to be talking today about it happened in 2015, 2005 BCE. Before Common Era. We have Battle of Umintani and a piece of Phoenicia, but I'm not going to talk about a lot about the battle, because really battle was complete, kind of like an indecisive type of battle. But I will talk about a little bit of a piece of Phoenicia, and then Greg on Saturday. I think there's much more amazing battles in the Second War, and Greg is going to particularly Sinophily is going to count, and Ayus. Those battles are more prominent than the ones in the First War. And obviously we have in this war we have phalanges, which is what the Greeks used, versus Roman legions, and that's where the first time I think the Roman legions proved superior, particularly their organization, and how they almost had the chess formation, and therefore, comparing to phalanges, if there is no organization to that, what happens is basically it dissipates, right? So they all have to be in the same, kind of like 300 you can think of, right? They all have to be in the same line, and they have to have this pretty long, spikes and stuff like that. So it was the Romans that proved superior with legions in this case. Third Macedonian War, Pydna is one of the most important battles as well. And the Fourth Macedonian War, there's been, Macedon as Greek state dissipates and forever becomes the Roman province. So it happened, as you can see, almost 70 years period. But they're, Macedonians are relentless, and as Rome is fighting war with Macedon, they're fighting war with, Carthage. They're fighting war with Antioch. They're fighting war with Illyrians. They're fighting war with everybody basically, and it's everybody versus Rome. But Rome is not alone. They make a lot of agreements, a lot of behind politics that's happening, and that's what I'm going to go through, because that's the most important thing to me. I think the politics that's happening and understanding what Macedon was, and then if you guys want, we can then dive into the more of the details. And like I said, it'll be very light. I apologize for that, and we had 4 presentations, this week, and we have 2 more coming. And by the way, talking about schedule, Saturday, like I said, we're talking about Second Macedonian War. Okay, so I just want to basically have like an overview. The First Macedonian War, it was between Rome and Philip V, and I'll talk about who the Philip V was. Obviously Rome was allied with Aetolian League and Attalus of Pergamon. It was located in Adriatic Sea, and you can see the map down below. Coastline. The reasons for it was to keep the Macedonians from aiding Hannibal. The result of this war was Rome seized some lands to combat piracy. Okay, and we'll talk about pirates as well. So this is the Greek states in the east that's close to Rome, outside of the Mediterranean Sea. This is how it looked at the time, or close to the First Macedonian War. So you have Macedon, upper area, Seleucid Empire. Seleucid Empire, as you know, stretched all the way to India. Then you have Ptolemaic Egypt. Seleucid and Ptolemy were both generals. That's how the empire started, generals of Alexander the Great, and therefore they divided the empire accordingly. And Macedon, we obviously know that's where the Alexander the Great, initiated from, and Philip was the first one. Philip II was started that whole area. So this is just kind of like 231 BC map of the area. So let's just go to the next slide. So why do I want to start talking about Illyria, right?
May I just interject a bit? Can we go to the previous map?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the dynamic of this whole region is that there's three major Hellenistic kingdoms that resulted, at the dissipation of Alexandrian Empire, and they are basically trying to keep in balance. And what usually happens is when one of them weakens, or one of them becomes too strong, the other two usually unite and kind of oppose it. So it's been for quite a while, for almost 100 years, that they've been kind of kept in balance. But now there are new power coming, which is obviously Rome. And also the situation changes, as you will talk later, that the Ptolemaic Egypt started to have problems, and Macedonian and Seleucid Empire are watching how to take advantage of it. But meanwhile, that happens a little later. We'll talk later about this, but just wanted to see the disposition. And of course, there are Greek city-states that some of them align in leagues. There is Aetolian League, which is in Boeotia, and also later on, the Achaean League would be formed in Peloponnesus, northern Peloponnesians, around the region of Achaia there. That's all, basically.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that little background. So today's, first I want to talk about even though we're talking about Macedonia, but there is really no Macedonian War until we talk about Illyrians. Who are the Illyrians, right? So Illyrians particularly did a lot of pirating, right? So basically, we have, the Roman Republic in the First Punic War, defeating the, Carthage and establishing naval dominance. But you have this pirates in Illyria, or also another name for the Illyria was Ardea, right? Ardean kings, Ardea or Illyria. So what happens is whenever the Rome would send, trade ships, Illyrian pirates would conduct its raids. And hold on, let me just admit people. Sorry, I know this. Marie.
Yeah, if I may add this, there are various tribes there. They kind of half civilized, and they constantly warring with each other. They're not very organized. And then also there are few Greek cities on the coast. And what happens in 231 is that this one of the tribes, Ardea, kind of solidifies under the king Agnon, who united surrounding tribes and became kind of a pretty serious power. And he also, I don't know if you're going to talk about Demetrius of Pharos.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, he also united with him.
Yeah,
and just for those who understand geographically, so this is the area of what says Albania. We know where Albania in Dalmatia is the north of Albania. It's what Croatia is right now.
Yes. So, so as Greg has mentioned, right, this was the Illyria was modern day Albania, Dalmatia. So it basically was around the area of mid to late 3rd century, and as Greg has mentioned, it was a barbaric, half civilized, but still in contact with Hellenistic neighbors, right? So you have all these Hellenistic neighbors. They were kind of Hellenized, but they were not civilized. Even though the Greek contact had led to some urbanization in the south in the region of, it kind of like it was still a tribal, as Greg has mentioned, society. And one of the tribes, Ardea, was led by this, as you can see, there's a small Agnon. So this energetic king, Agnon, forged the union, of the Illyrian people, as Greg had mentioned. He was a very prominent figure, and basically he forged a union with a person called Demetrius, and his name is actually Demetrius of Pharos. He was a Greek lord, so you can think of them as being lords, right? You have Afghanistan, you have different warlords. This is just warlords and slash small kings, or of small kingdoms, or so to speak. So now
just wanted to add that the Pharos is the island up north, which is currently in Croatia called Hvar. It's that long island, if you see along the coast northwest of the picture of Ardea.
Right. So this particular alliance of Agron and Demetrius kind of coincided with a collapse of Epirus. I mean, does anybody know Epirus, right? He was a formidable, strength, and then with him dying, and he got hit by a woman throwing something out her window and dies. Basically, Illyrian power, they start to expand, basically. So they take advantage of the weakness. The Illyrians eventually managed to seize territories far south of traditional borders. So they went all the way south, and basically climaxing seizing Phoenicia, which was one of the wealthiest cities of the kingdom. All right. So basically took the one of the wealthiest cities in Epirus. Despite these successes, however, Agnon perished soon after and was succeeded nominated by his son. But his son is very, very young. He was very young, and particularly the Illyrian kingdom, was actually run by his a wife who actually wasn't the mother of this son of his, but this wife, his name is Tuta. She wielded all the power. I mean, she's a stepmom, right? And basically, she appointed the son of Agnon as a regent, and so she ran the whole show. But what's interesting is, right, Illyrians were the pirates. So I just wanted to show you how to look. And this is obviously this is a current woman in dressings of the Tuta, and this is how the pirates of Illyria looked, And this is Tuta, who was the queen. So now, what's interesting is, her ascension as a queen did not stop the belligerence, and piracy in the Adriatic or Mediterranean Sea, right here. So whenever the Roman ships would pass, they see dollar signs, or at that time, dinar signs, and they would attack the Roman ship. And at the same time, Rome just finished Punic War I, bankrupted, doesn't have enough money. If there was a war of attrition. That was not something that I could live with at the moment. So what's interesting, so she kept, she was a pretty strong queen. So she basically went southerly territories in Epirus, and had allowed the establishment of more staging point from which these pirates could sail. So she basically went even further, and she established a post for, you can think of African coast, and they were pirating all the ships now. So this has been occurring for a long time, but the increasing scale of the problem and the loud complaints, from Roman merchants and economic impact of her piracy prompted the Senate to act. Right, so Rome said, enough is enough. Let's go ahead and do something about it. But initially, they wanted to be very diplomatic, right? So they sent 2 diplomats to see, obviously this savages, Illyrians, and basically the diplomats were executed. They couldn't really get anywhere. So now Tuta is thinking that, oh my God, I have all this power, I executed, and Rome is not doing anything. So she appointed, she first conquered this island and Corcyra, and she appointed this Demetrius of Pharos as the governor. And we'll talk about him a little bit more. But when in the spring of 228, Tuta was forced into peace with the Romans because the Demetrius of Pharos sided with Romans. So the governor she appointed, one of the islands that were robbing Romans, basically sided with Romans, and now she had no backing. Therefore, she wanted to go into peace with Romans, and she broke the Illyrian state in half. And Romans.
Wait a second, Zach, if I may add, the Romans, the reason why this all happened is because the Romans sent a very strong force of 200 ships and 22,000 troops. And
Correct.
She was completely unprepared for it and was defeated right away. And Demetrius, who was a smart cookie, realized he had no choice here, and he sided with Romans. He betrayed her, and she was completely out of the game, really. So she had to make a very bad treaty for herself.
Right. So as Greg had mentioned, the de facto Demetrius of Pharos was a very smart person, and he goes, okay, well, now Romans, they had a tendency of conquering the land, but not really staying there. So they withdraw with the something that's called, you could think of it a friendship, but this was they call it amicitial. Amicitial was the friendship, and they're saying like, you don't do anything to us. And it was a benign sounding term, right? It was basically, they were just Rome's, affiliate, but what does it really mean to be friend to Rome? It was a de facto condition for becoming an informal client of state. Okay, so now, so the primary beneficiary of this peace was this Demetrius of Pharos, and he was granted a small independent principality of his own, but it was sandwiched between the Ardean kingdom, right? There's still this kingdom that's, that still remained, and all the Greek city-states. As you know, all Greek city-states, they were not, friendly to each other. There are some alliances, but not really. Basically, he said, you know what? Why don't I marry a mother of the king of Ardean, and her name is Trituta. She was a biological mother of the king, and kind of now this Ardean kingdom is going to be mine. So I have my own independent principality. Plus, I'm going to marry, very, profitably. And so, by becoming this young boy's regent, Demetrius effectively recreated powerful Illyrian kingdom, abolished by Rome in the First Illyrian War. So Rome just defeated this Illyrian kingdom by sending 20,000 troops and 200 ships, and now he's recreating it, right? But even more boldly, right? He goes in and he becomes launching the pillaging raids into territory of Rome and allied tribes, right? He is not satisfied. Now he wants to take over for this, Teuta and basically, or this queen, Illyrian queen, and become the same menace. And he was actually trying to test the waters through the lack of Roman presence, right? Response and presence, right? They kind of left him alone, So now, all right, I'm just admitting, Ralph. Anybody has any questions or want to add anything? Or Greg, you want to add anything? Or
no, I mean, this is the time also when Rome is expecting, could see that the Second Punic War is about to start. We're talking about just in the year of 219. The war with Hannibal started a year later. So they already anticipating, they know what's brewing, and they really, at this point, want to take care of this menace in the Adriatics and take care of Demetrius. And I guess Zach will continue on that, but that's the situation. The Rome, they really want to take care of it before the Punic War starts.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much. And Ralph, hi, how are you? So now continuing on that path. So he's very bold, right? He's testing waters through lack of Roman response. Thinking that, oh, I'm Roman, France, I can do whatever I want. So they won't intervene. He was delusional, right? He was obviously completely delusional, because at the time Roman actually was fighting Roman Gallic War between 226 and 222. As Gauls, quite extensively attacked Rome at one point, sacking Rome. Not this time, but they did previously. And therefore, this was an important war for Rome, and it was lasted for 4 years. And so, to prove that he was fatally delusional, right? He is basically trying his luck now. Demetrius is set out with 90 light galleys in the summer of 220 BC on a grand piracy expedition. He's taken a industrial, basically, measure to it, and he's going all out, ravaging cities around the Adriatic Sea, right? So he's going through the Adriatic Sea, he's ravaging cities all along the coast, right here. And in a blatant violation of the treaty 8 years before, Teuta had a treaty with Rome. She became their protectorate, and he's completely destroying that whole treaty. It's unbelievable. He has finally gone too far, right? Rome now decided that their former ally Demetrius now posed the same threat to Rome interest as the Teuta had, and moreover wished to punish their friend for betraying them and not acting like a friend should, right? So he's not a friend to Rome. He's trying to do all these things. So now Rome sends a disproportionate forces to shut the Illyrians up once and for all, right? They're sending 219, motivated by Republic desire to swiftly and decisively conclude Illyrian situation before the new war with Carthage began, and it seemed like it might. So we kind of, if you remember, and Greg has presented it, and you can watch on our YouTube channel. The second war was, the head of the Carthage was
Hannibal.
And so as you know, Hannibal had challenged Rome by attacking, what city was it, Greg?
Sangum.
It was a city, Sangum, which was protected
in Spain.
Rome. Was kind of protected of Rome, not really, but it was a
Yeah,
fair,
it was an alliance. Yeah, so
there were an alliance.
Sangurum, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Sangurum, yeah. And so he's challenging Rome already. And here you go, this guy Demetrius, they want to take care of him before this happened. So now Demetrius' strategy was to hold the fortress, which is called Dimalum, and Pharaoh itself, right? Pharaoh is the the city, but the Romans took the former in only 7 days, while a rash sortie by Demetrius lists him Pharaoh's the man himself evaded capture because he had placed a squadron of hidden galley in a secret cove, fleeing to them when battle was lost. So he's hiding secret galleys somewhere while the battle he's about to lose. Left all his family, left all of his soldiers, and he's fighting and running away. And where is he running to? He's running to Macedon, right? And so he reached through the Adriatic port. He goes to Macedon, right? And who does he see there? Philip V, and basically they hug it out, and we'll get to that now in the future. I want to kind of like step back now, and talk about a little bit about this Macedon itself, and how this guy Philip V became in power in Macedon, right? So we're stepping back a little bit. So there was this guy, and his name is Antigonus Gonatas. Basically, what happens is this guy was in about 272 BC, was a very important Macedonian who basically put Macedon on the map. How do you do that? He raised, he basically made the Macedonian coinage a very high quality. It was all gold. Reorganized the provincial system to increase its efficiencies. He raised the great sacred mount to honor the gravis of the Aegean house. So basically, he did all these things, and he was a grandfather of this Philip V. He was very mobile. Basically, was able to establish. I'm sorry, wanted to add something, right? Sorry. Establish this Macedonian kingdom, and through quelling a lot of the revolts, he was able to give a very good kingdom to his son, and then his son gave it to his to Philip V, which is his grandson. And but Philip V was a very young person when his father died after attacking Sparta. They conquered Sparta. Macedon conquered Sparta, and therefore now he needed a regent to kind of oversee the whole thing. And there was this guy Antigonus Doson, who became quote unquote the protector of Philip V because he was very young. So now so he made him his own son basically, and he became raising Philip V. The first course of business of this guy Antigonus Dasan is to march north and expel Illyrians from kingdoms, right? So we remember Illyrians. So the Macedon went to Illyria and they expelled them from Macedon. So go back to your house. Now, second course of business, he was able to conquer Sparta. And after fighting with Ptolemy, who was in Egypt, basically perished. So now at that time, Philip V was already kind of now we're talking about 221 BCE. He's all grown and ready to take the very vibrant Macedonian kingdom, right? So now basically this guy Demetrius the Pharaohs that came from Illyria that was initially traitor, now when he lost to Rome, goes to see this guy, Philip V. Who was, Philip V? They also talk about him a little bit. So this is the Philip V, right? So Philip V, or they call him the King of Macedonia from 221 to 179, whose attempt to extend Macedonian influence throughout Greece resulted in defeat by Rome. His career is significantly mainly as an episode in Rome's expansion. The son of Demetrius II, his wife Phifia, the young prince was adopted after his father's death in 229 by his half-cousin Antigonus Doson, who took the throne. Philip succeeded upon Antigonus' death, Summer 221, and soon won renown by supporting the Hellenic League in its war against Sparta or Anatolia. All right. In 2015, Philip allied with Hannibal, and we'll talk about it right now. So now, what I wanted to talk about is the him aligning himself with Hannibal, right? So as you know, Hannibal goes through crosses Alps, and at the Lake Treseme defeats. I'm sorry. Hannibal goes through, crosses Alps, defeats, at the Lake Treseme Roman legions. At that time, I think one of the earlier Scipios were part of it, and Philip V knows about it. Now he sees that Rome is losing the war, right? Then it was actually before the cons yet. So now he's encouraged by it, right? Hearing of this massive Roman defeat at the Lake Treseme, Philip V now begins to consider expansion in the west at the expense of a dying Rome, right? This direction was encouraged by Demetrius of Pharos. So this guy, Demetrius of Pharos, who just fought Rome and lost in 8 days, is instigating him. Why don't you attack? That's the best time right now to do it. After being expelled from his Adriatic dominion by Rome, now argued that Philip should end the social war. At the time, there was a social war in Greek state, and gain control of the Illyrian coast and attack the Italy itself. So you have Hannibal coming from the Alps, going toward Italy, and you have then, they're trying to instigate Philip V going. So Rome is doomed, right? It's a big problem.
Considering that it was just the Battle of Cannes that was lost in 216 BCE, it was a massive, the biggest loss that the Roman army ever sustained. I think they had an army of almost 70,000. I think they lost 40,000 men. It was a huge demographic, blow to the Rome. And this was the time when Rome was at the lowest, and that's the time when Philip decided to make an alliance with Hannibal.
Correct. So now, Philip ends this social war in the city of Naupactus, and drives Illyrians one more time out of his domain. In the winter of 217, has a fleet of 100 warship constructed, and basically is ready to attack. Initially, he wanted to go to the, at the corner of Adriatic Sea, then cross to Italy and attack Italy itself. So in the summer of 216, King made his first attempt at securing Illyria coast region, right? So he never left Macedon. Now he's going to Illyrian coast region, but fled home upon hearing news of approaching Roman fleet. So he's chickened out, basically. Now, decisive Roman fleet at the Cannae was another crucial moment. So now Cannes, at Cannae, that's where the Hannibal defeats decisively Romans. And I think there was 50 or 60,000 Romans die. And I think at one point, every senator lost somebody of their relative or whoever it is. I think there's praetors that died there. There was so much death. I think it took him 3 days to slaughter. After encircling them, it took him 3 days to slaughter all the Romans. and it was quite a scene. I think it was who wrote about it? I think it was Livio Polibio. I don't remember, but it was very decisive. I think Tit Livy wrote about it. So now Philip wants to join the winning side, right? So Carthaginians are winning. Hannibal is marching through Italy, just defeated Rome. Sends his ambassador, his name Xenophonus, and Xenophonus gets captured by Romans, right? Gets captured by Romans, a Roman praetor, and on his way to speak to Hannibal. And this guy Xenophonus was a slick man. He managed to talk to Rome and said, no, I didn't come here to talk to Hannibal. I came to talk to you guys. I want to make alliance with Rome. Philip wanted to make alliance with Rome. So, but Romans are not stupid, right? On his way back, I said, let me check your bags to see where you're coming from. Of course, they're checking. Then there's an agreement with Philip V and Hannibal of the cooperation. They catch this guy Xenophon. Now they know Philip is no good. Is up to something no good, right? So in 214 BCE, the offensive of Philip intensifies, right? Basically, he's very aggressive. He's going on the Illyrian coast right here. He captures town after town, residency after residency. He wants to set up the base to attack Italy. He goes through Epirus. He creates about 120 Macedonian galleys, and he wanted to go through Strait to cross. Now, in campaign, Philip swiftly seizes Aricon and besieges Apollonia, Apollonia is aligned, Illyrian town is aligned with Rome. They call Rome for help. And Rome sends the commander, his name Lavinus, with 55 heavy warships to lift this Apollonia siege. And he does so. But now, before he does that, he winters at his fleet at the city of Aricon, which is in the same area, where Philip now is scared, burns his fleet, and retreats to Macedon overland. So Macedonian king, having been blocked at the sea, attacked over Pindus mountain, making significant gains in 2013, 2012. So he basically captures, Philip come back overland, captures a couple of settlements, but at the same time, around 212 to 13, that's when Hannibal gets defeated at Zama, right? And Greg, can you talk about it a little bit, what happened there?
Battle of Zama?
Yeah.
Well, there was a major defeat where basically Scipio Africanus stood up against Hannibal. It was their first direct encounter. Actually, and there was a major defeat. The Romans, Scipio defeated Hannibal, and that led to the very punishing treaty with Carthage. They were supposed to, they were deprived of their fleet. They couldn't maintain more than, I think, 10,000 army. There was max, and they couldn't start the war without a Roman permission. So very humiliating defeat. The power of Carthage was completely broken. They were no longer a major power. So that's what happened.
Yeah, so, as Greg had mentioned, but Rome had fought a long war. How long was this war? Between
From 16 years.
16-year war. Their treasury is depleted, and now I have this guy in the east, Philip V, who wanted to cross into Italy. There's a problem, right? So they, basically they send this guy Lavinus, who.
Yeah, but that happens during that war. That happens like way before. But the reason is that after the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal couldn't take the city. He didn't have a siege engines, so he moved south He moved to Campania, he raided that, Apulia. Then eventually, a few years, 5 years later, like about 211, the Romans managed to, for a while, they were trying to, what they used Fabian tactics. Fabius Maximus was waging the guerrilla war, not engaging in major battles, but they managed to have a small successes against the Carthaginian forces, not directly against the Hannibal, but with some parts of it. So there was some kind of reprieve at this time, and Hannibal was lacking supplies. He didn't get help from Carthage, and also he was hoping to that the Greek city would rise up to help him, but that didn't happen. He was in a weakened position, so the Rome had a little bit of breathing space, and that's when they decided to kind of retaliate a bit with Philip, but not in a major. They're still very much engaged, but yeah.
So as the slide has says, Rome now could not really engage him directly because it was happening during the Second Punic War. So what they do is they use diplomatic measures, right? So they send their ambassadors to Aetolian League. They align themselves with Pergamon, and basically they trying to create allies and therefore force Philip to kind of sign this treaty after very indecisive battles. There's no clear victor, but in the end, Philip signs the peace at Phoenicia, which then he doesn't really keeps him from assisting Hannibal. And as you know, Hannibal then escapes, kind of goes to Antiochus. Antiochus assigned Hannibal to become the admiral, which he never been an admiral. He loses that battle and then retreats to Syria, and Hannibal dissipates after Zama, so to speak. So as I said, Roman were able to have alliances with Aetolian League and Pergamon, and that's how they were able diplomatically and through small war effort squeeze Philip V. And Greg will talk about the Second Macedonian War, which is most important battles, Cephalai, and then the Third Macedonian War. So we're in a long haul for this. Anybody has any questions or want to add anything? If I want, I can just put a map back. This was a short one. I apologize, because this is a very I just wanted to talk about mostly development prior to the war, and the war itself was not really that decisive, so to speak. And we'll probably talk about the legion superiority next time, or when we get to the Third Macedonian War, and we combine Third Macedonian War with Third Third Punic War, because it's just it kind of like coincide, and both empire pretty much are done after that, even though they were the Fourth Macedonian War, but not really. So I just want to talk about the schedule if nobody has any questions. This Saturday, Greg is presenting Second Macedonian War. On Sunday, we actually have an interesting one too. Greg one is very interesting. Me and Sergio, we're gonna play a movie, a Gladiator, and we're gonna discuss which parts of the movie that raise questions the most about the historicity of those particular scenes. I think there was a scene at one of the areas when he was fighting at the Colosseum. There was a plane that was flying up ahead, and they shot the plane. So obviously there was no planes in ancient Rome, unless the Galileus was a little bit far behind that Romans had planes or something like that. So there was a lot of discrepancy like that, but mostly it's going to be historical, obviously, and the small things like, for example, in the beginning, Romans had unleashed dogs, toward Germanic tribes, and the Romans had never used dogs in that capacity at all. I don't even assume, how do you use dogs, in a initial attack, I guess, as your front line. Doesn't make any sense. But it was done, to gain traction, So we'll talk about, Commodus, obviously. And Greg is, we went to this Commodus presentation. It was pretty amazing. But they kind of was all over the place. What was the name of that? It was a visit through Rome. They were talking about Commodus, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. It was really good. But he was going very quickly. I couldn't really get a lot. So anybody has any questions, any new people? Let me just welcome some new people. Let me just stop sharing. And then maybe put up a schedule of the things that we're going to have. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to put up the schedule of the things that we're going to have coming up. Sorry if I'm a little slow. Apologies. And then I'm actually going to make some changes to the schedule today, but most of it is correct. So, all right. There it is. Okay. So, we finished today Macedonian wars with Rome first. Greg is going to present one on Saturday. And then Paul is going to talk about the expansion in Rome expansion in Italy. He's going to talk about the Samnite War, third and fourth Samnite Wars. And then we'll finish it up the month with third Macedonian War and a third Punic War. And basically that would be the end of November. Then Sunday we have movie Gladiator, History of Fiction, Where Do We Stand? Then on the 21st, Alex C is going to talk about Bronze Age in Asia. And then on the 28th, we're going to talk about the libraries that were destroyed, Ashurbanipal in Assyria, Alexandria in Egypt. I'll talk about it. And then Ralph S. and Rich are going to collaborate on Maccabees Revolt and Ptolemy, kind of around the same time. It's a little earlier, but... and then Aaron wants to talk about the modern history of EU from 1946 to now. And I still don't know when Lisa is going to present on Hyksos. On next Tuesday, we're going to talk about Timur Lane. And I'm sorry, I had to adjust that. Then, then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about Sharia law, which is the Islamic laws. Yesterday we had over 300 people watching Islam 101. It was very interesting. So if you guys catch it on YouTube, I posted it. We're going to talk about Islamization of Turkey and early Ottomans. I have to actually change that on the 16th. And then Women in Islam is going to be on the 17th. And Ottoman Growing Pains and then Ottoman Conquerors. Then this month, I'm still need to connect with Marika. We're going to talk about Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. And if anybody is interested, this is kind of off topic, but history of martial arts on the 25th. So that's basically it. Anybody has any questions or wanted to add anything? No, new people, just want to say hi. Kathy, Mel, I know Mel, you've been coming. Dean, I've seen you a couple of times. Yvette, if you guys want, Frankie, if you guys want to say hi, introduce yourself. You always want to know about new people. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Yeah, hi, how are you? I'm doing well. I thought this was a really interesting topic here. I am a history buff, so that's I do have an interest in learning more about history. Based on the history that history courses I've taken in school, I mean, this type of information, it's more specific where, in history class, I'll probably have like 1 or 2 sentences on a topic. So I'm glad I was able to get more in-depth information from you guys. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Yeah, coincidentally, I am reading up a little bit on Greek history, ancient Greek history, so it kind of dovetails kind of nicely. So
if you go to our YouTube channel, which is, you can find it through going through omnicarta.org, and I'm going to drop it in the chat right now. That's our website. We have a
Okay,
YouTube
cool.
channel connected to it, and Greg and I and Paul and other people did a lot of things on Greek. We did actually 7 months. We did only Greek, Athenian Empire, the Marathon, the Thermopylae with 300. So we did all that. So it's on our YouTube channel. We recorded it. Really amazing stuff. So I recommend going in there and checking it out. I mean, it's a lot of good stuff there, and people has been commenting. I'm going to put it here right now. It's called omnicarta.org. That's our website. Okay, and then we have the YouTube channel there.
Thank you. I'll check that
If
out.
Kathy, you want to say hi, or Mel, Dean, no, Yvette.
I'll just say hello, and I'm going to be quiet because I'm a newbie and I'm just learning things. So thank you for sharing what you shared tonight, and thank you to Greg also.
Yes, he's our resident expert. Greg,
Not really.
Greg is a software engineer, but really he's a historian doing, side note of software engineering. But as Ralph one time pointed out. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Dean, for coming. Mel, new people. Thank you, Ralph. And I'll see you Saturday, if not Sunday, if not Tuesday, if not Wednesday. We pretty much have it every day now. So not Monday. We don't have it Monday. Monday is a day to relax.
Hey, just a quick question. Where are you guys based out of? Chicago or?
We currently we're in New York, right? But
okay.
we're trying to create a traveling section, right? I'm trying to figure out, first trip we want to do is Washington. Then we're going to do trips to Chicago with food and all that stuff. Currently, we're just in New York. We do a museum and food outings, but at some point in the summer, if you're interested, we will create international travel historical group. And the first destination that we're going to have, unlikely destination, is called Uzbekistan. And it is very beautiful there. And it's a land, I don't know if you know Samarkand. We're going to talk about Timur Lane. Timur Lane I could think right now, he was probably the biggest villain that ever lived after Genghis Khan and Hitler, or maybe even bigger than Genghis Khan and Hitler, that killed over probably 25 million people in 14th century. And his capital was in Uzbekistan, called Samarkand. And he actually was half Mongol, half Turkic. He's from the tribe called Barlas. And they were in the city Shahrazad, which we will visit if we go, where he was born. And we'll go to his very famous observatory. His grandson built it. His name is Ulugh Bek, and he's very famous mathematician and astrologist. You can look him up. He's amazing guy, very smart. Actually, they said at one point he was able to predict the distance between stars even better than current computers. I don't know if that's that's correct, but that's what has been said. And I think until 20th century they're not able to do that. And he was grandson of Timur Lane, and another grandson of Timur Lane you probably know, his name is Babur, and he was initiator of Mongol Empire in India. Mongol Empire ruled India for 600 years, and he was also from the area of Uzbekistan called Samarkand. He was grandson of Timur Lane. Yeah, so that's going to be next Tuesday, so join us. Very interesting presentation. It's going to be Rich presenting on this Saturday. Greg, as you saw Greg's abilities, he's amazing. So this Saturday you can talk about so we switch gears, stuff like that. So I don't know, I was able to answer your question.
Hi Zach, it's Dean here. Obviously you're talking about international interest, etc. I'm from the UK. I have followed the Second Punic War with Hannibal from Carthage, and of course then through Spain, New Carthage, where he picks up various allies, part of the Gauls, and then obviously moves down into the Alps. He fights a small skirmish, and then he fights the Lake Trasimene, and of course Cannae, which could have been a decisive defeat for Rome in 216 BC. So I followed the route of Hannibal, and obviously eventually the Romans wanted to try and pull him back away from the mainland of Italy, and of course they brought him back to North Africa, where of course he was finally defeated at the Battle of Zama. Indeed, right. Yes. So I followed Hannibal quite a lot. It's just trying to, which I find it interesting, trying to find the interconnection between there and Philip of Macedonia, and the connection with the Macedonia and the different wars that followed from that. So I'm finding it very interesting.
Yeah,
they made a treaty.
Yes, I mean, I tend to follow. I'm part of a World War II group as well. It's not my main historical subject. It's the Napoleonic Wars, but I'm very interested in all different levels of history.
We're actually looking for presenters on Napoleonic Wars, because I'm originally from Uzbekistan, but we were obviously learning Borodino, and the Grand Army attacking Bagration, who was actually related to Queen Tamara.
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, many years ago, I was part of a reenactment group, part of the Napoleonic period. I preferred that. I'd really wanted to get into the research side rather than dressing up in the period of dress. And rather than looking at it from the UK side, or from being a British soldier, I wanted to learn a little bit of the French language, and I dressed up in the French uniform as a French line regiment Fusilier, 21st Regiment. I've kept a journal of it, and visited a couple of places, and I've also been to Napoleon Bonaparte's birthplace, which is Ajaccio in Corsica. So, and had a drink there as well in the actual bar next to where he was born, or he lived with his family.
Yeah.
So,
are you a fan of Bernard Cornwell?
Yes.
Because he wrote the whole series about the Napoleonic War. I thought it fascinating.
Yes, it is. I mean, I met one or two of the actors, when Sean Bean was making Sharp.
But the books are much better than the series. The books are much better.
Yes,
I don't know if you read them.
I've got one or two of them, but I've also got a separate book on the Peninsular War anyway, in Spain and Sir Thomas.
That's been. Even though Napoleon himself was not there, but Wellington, campaigns, they were fantastic there.
Yes, and I was just going to say, Greg, I attended a couple of interesting Eventbrite presentations about when Napoleon obviously gave himself up, and he was then extradited to the island of St. Helena for the second and last time. Some of the people who he met there, and whether or not there's obviously some kind of conspiracy, whether or not he was actually poisoned and he died in 1821. So yes, so
no escape from there. St. Helena, that's really it's South America.
It's a long way, yes. So so it's very interesting about it, and the thing with me, guys, and I think Zach touched on it, was history seems to come alive for me when I'm actually there, when I actually visit a place. That's when all the little different or lots of information seem to become more prominent. When you talk about something, I seem to appreciate it more. Touch, smell, everything. I mean, the last expedition I was on, I suppose, is when I went to when I was covering the First World War. And I went to Passchendaele and went to where the third Battle of Ypres was there,
Mhm.
and thousands upon thousands of graves, and obviously
Right,
attended
That's
the
where the
remembrance.
chemical weapons.
Well,
used, right?
yeah, but it didn't kind of turn out that way for the Germans anyway, because
Yeah.
they had the problems where, because of the change of weather, you know, the
Right.
mustard
They
gas,
also got
you know, it could actually blow over back over to their trenches. So, but ancient history, other than odd particular periods of their history, which is mainly the war against Hannibal and
Yes.
Rome.
Mhm.
It's the and stuff around Alexander the Great and Darius II, and of course Thermopylae and Salamis. There's other
Mhm.
bits and pieces of information, and that's what gets me very interested with the classical ancient history as well. So, so yes, looking forward to it. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry
No,
to.
no, that
No,
was
yeah,
excellent.
we're
The
talking
interest-
now.
The interesting fact, since Napoleon was Corsican, his French was like, eh, and so the Alexander, the Russian Tsar, was actually more grammatically correct in French than than Napoleon himself when he was correcting him grammatically when they were writing letters to each other.
Yes, I can believe that. I can believe that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
very
mean
much so.
Alexander the
Yeah.
First. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Well, of course, Napoleon, you know, he was an amazing general, which I passed through his naval academy in Paris, and said he flunked it, right? He
Yes.
got kicked out,
Yeah.
but he was
I mean,
smart.
so far, I mean, the only places I visited following Napoleon's footsteps is, like I say, where he was born, and where
Mhm.
in Boulogne after the Battle of Trafalgar
Mhm.
in 1805, he turned his grand army away and then started
Right.
marching east. And of course, in
Yeah.
December, he fought his greatest victory, which was the Battle of the Three Emperors at
Mhm.
Austerlitz. So it's a battlefield there, you know, in Czechoslovakia, it is, or Slovakia now, where I'd like to go and visit. But it's just trying to find the time and meet the type of groups, you know, to eventually go to places like that.
Well, they
It's
say
also about the American
Waterloo.
Civil War as well. You know, I find that fascinating. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
again,
for sure. That recent movie they came out about Civil War with the British soldier. I forget the name of it. It was so amazing. Couldn't stop watching. But you know, when they chose the name Waterloo, right? Doesn't it mean bubble gum or something like that?
yeah.
The name
Well, you can
is
blame. You
good.
can,
But that's a historic name. It's yeah, in Belgium. Yeah.
oh yes, yes. It is a place I have not been visited. I know one or two people that have, and no, it's you know, it's a famous place, but you know, Wellington was a very cautious at times. I don't think he was as cautious as Montgomery, but he was quite defensive in his
Uh,
way, and
Russians
he,
even
had
he
a
he wasn't cautious in Peninsular War. I think he was.
yeah, I mean, he says he's. I mean, he was interviewed by some journalist apparently when he became prime minister, or prior just before that, and they asked him what his greatest victory was, and it was
Yeah.
actually Asagnia in India rather than Waterloo. And I bet,
That's way low.
yeah,
Yeah, but
at
that
his
was his
younger
first
days,
encounter directly with
yes,
Napoleon, right?
yeah,
That's why he probably was cautious. And who knows if this General Grouchy, if he wouldn't stray away after Blücher, who knows how it would have ended up, right?
possibly,
no, you know, Russians,
and it,
Dim, you
yes,
know the
sorry,
Russians had a Scottish general, Barclay de Tolly.
yes, yes, and you know, I think it was too much for Napoleon anyway. Even if he took the granddad of the Army of the North, people think he took the whole French army. It was the Army of the North that actually tried to defeat the Prussians, and it never happened in Wellington. They was held up at
Yeah.
Quatre Bras,
And
Ligny, but the real stumbling block for Grouchy was Wavre. and he was held back by the Prussians there, which obviously, as a delaying action, allowed Blucher to arrive on the field at Waterloo approximately about 4 o'clock to actually combine forces and then hit the French reserve from the eastern side, from the Imperial Guard side. So, you know, it was an outcome then that was going to finish the wrong way. But anyway, that's just a brief outline of the kind of stuff I like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to come and present on Napoleon, and particularly, I'm interested in his campaigns. Beginning, you know, the Robespierre and all that other stuff would be, you know, would be really interesting. You know, let me know. I can drop in a schedule. I mean, January, February, whenever you want. You know, and then I'll have a group like 100 people sitting there and listening to you. No problem. Yeah, you didn't come yesterday to the Islam 101, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't go to that one. Obviously, I'm a bit limited for time because of the time delay. Sometimes it's staying up too late, as it were, kind of thing during the week.
It was pretty amazing. I was, you know, it really took by surprise that the organizer of the London group, Robert, I don't know if you know, Collerman, he actually said that he wants to do it again. And it was over 100 people yesterday. It was like unexpected.
Yes, I missed that one, Zach. But I thought the night before that he attended, the one with Richard Sassoon.
Oh, Richard, that was good, right? You liked that one?
I thought that was fabulous. There was so much intake of information to take. Yeah. Really, at times I had to kind of, you know, I lost it a little bit because it was that, you know, there was that much information and change of what was happening on the Ilkhanate, really, on the region, the person region, and around the bottom end of the Middle East.
Right.
That obviously was infiltrated by the Mongols. You know, it was and it's a long time since I've read up about the Mongol Empire anyway, about Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan, and of course the other brothers that followed.
Hulagu.
Hulagu, yeah.
Hulagu, yeah. So, Richard went over Hulagu pretty extensively.
He did very intently. Yes, very, very good. I thought that one, yeah. Indeed.
I mean, we're all here besides me are amazing. I'm just I fill it in. Sometimes when people, you know, don't have, I just fill it in, and I'd like to get good too. But Greg, Paul, Rich, Lisa is going to do on. I don't know if you're into Egyptian. She's going to do Hyksos intermediate period of in Egypt. You know, it would blow your mind, really good, and
good.
Yeah, all of them are amazing. And recently, actually, we did the King Arthur on last Sunday. So if you can check out the recording,
Yes, I did attend that one, Zach. I think that was the first one that I attended.
Oh, yeah. It was Jane.
Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, Jane is amazing. Yeah, Jane.
Yes, it was.
And Greg was there too. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean,
anyway, sorry guys for interrupting. I thought I'd just have a bit of a chat with you.
Sure.
Excellent.
Sure.
And,
nice talking to you.
Welcome, and I want to wish everybody a good night. And wherever you are, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you, guys.
All right,
okay, thanks very much. Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye
Now. Bye.
Sure.
Bye.